see my screen here in just a moment?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Perfect. Now, the examples you're going to see me use, I'm going to be kind of dealing with the dummy database that's set up for portable toilet.
Okay.
But the example my equipment is going to be like an item called PT, standing for portable toilet, but the same can be applied if it's equipment you're renting or bins, anything of that nature. Now, what we first need to set up is actually in QuickBooks, where we have to create basically a placeholder in QuickBooks for the item that we want to rent out. I'm going to go ahead and open up QuickBooks here. And we don't need one item for each different, basically we don't need a physical inventory item for each rental we have. We just need a simple service item that allows us to track that within the service program. And the service program is actually going to be tracking your quantity in stock if you do track serial numbers, and it'll manage everything. So on our QuickBooks item list, I've created a simple line item just called PT. It is a service item. I put in the description I want, and I'm putting in the $0 price. I'm actually going to let the service program control my pricing by allowing it to do a monthly, weekly, and a daily rate. And then you just have to attach it to an income account. So depending on your QuickBooks chart of accounts, maybe it's the rental income or sales.
Do you have to create one of those for every item in the inventory?
No, just for each different type of item you have, right? So I may have 700 portable toilets to rent out. I only have to create one item.
Oh, okay, I see.
So once I have that item created, I can sync with the service program just by hitting Update QuickBooks and updating only inventory, and that'll bring over any new items I've created.
Now on the excuse me, on the item, say I have, I got 300 toilets, just regular toilets, and I have handicaps. You got to have items for each one of those different ones, right?
Yeah, you'll have one representing a handicap portable toilet, one for a regular.
Okay.
Each basically, if you have like the green Toughway type or blue construction portable toilets, just a general one for each kind of category, if you will.
So in my QuickBooks now, I have a whole list of, 1.5s, customer or Porta-Johns. I'll have just basically go through my list and make each line item in service program.
Yeah, we want, if you already have the line items set up in QuickBooks,
yes,
and you can use them, the existing ones in the service program.
Okay.
Now,
so if we're talking about lights, for instance, I have LED lights, so I would create one for LED lights, and then all the different models would just go under that line?
you could do it that way as well. And what I think you're referring to is we could create an item called, for your instance, LED lights, or I could create one just called rentals, or you could have this LED lights could be the category.
And it would go under sub-item of lights?
Yeah, we could do it that way. Let me just create this. So I have my category. I can then go new item. This could be a LED light, model number. You could have a LED light model number 1234, and it's a sub item of your lights. So you would have your LED lights category, and then you would have each different type of model underneath that if you'd like.
Okay, but what you're saying though, every individual item in my inventory has to be entered in QuickBooks.
No, 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 no. I'm each different type of LED light. And when you say model number, to me that means it's a different type of light.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I have 500 lights to rent out, and they're all the same type of light. I only need one in
Okay.
QuickBooks.
okay.
Now, once those items are available to me in the service program, depending whether or not you use serial numbers and want to track the individual physical inventory, we need to set it up on the rental inventory list. If you do not track serial numbers on the individual units, we do not have to set these up. If I go here, though, and I set up, I will pick that item that we just created, so maybe PT. I could give it a serial number. And if you notice, it populates with the zero price. Well, I could put in maybe I want to charge $80 a month. I could then have the software automatically calculate the daily and weekly charges based on that $80. Or if I want to put in my own values, I could hit no. I'm just going to go ahead and hit yes, and the software is going to calculate out at $3 a day, $20 for a week, or $80 for the month.
Could I do the reverse, like put my daily charge and
Yeah.
it will automatically update the rest?
Yeah, let's say you want to charge 10 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to update the weekly and monthly charges? Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, but if I have a specific formula for that, can I use it or
What
not?
you can, it uses
'Cause, like,
proper.
If we charge $10 a day for a week, we would charge only double that, and then for a month, we will charge 4 times that.
Then what I would do is when you put in your $10 for a daily rate,
Mm-hmm.
hit no, and then just put in the weekly charge of 20.
Okay, so I'd have to put them in myself. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that should be something similar to what you'll have to do right there.
Okay.
Now this list is where we want to set up how many. This is the list that you'll have to do. If you track individual serial numbers and you have 500 portable toilets or 500 lights, this is where we need to set up. Each line here will be one toilet or one piece of equipment you could rent out. Now, if you don't track the individual serial numbers, you don't have to do this.
Now, if we decide to start tracking our serial numbers in the future, is there a way to enter them all? Say you got 300 toilets. Can you put in 300 and it gives you 300 line items, or you got to do them all one at a time?
The way this is structured, you do have to do it one at a time. But what we offer to our clients is if you want us to just populate this with 300 of that PT, for instance, and then number the serial numbers 100 to 300, or whatever that is, we can do that for you.
Okay.
If you don't have a serial number, where do you put the quantity that you have?
That is actually when we start renting out the transactions. When we actually create a rental, we get into the quantity. This right here, we're just setting up the physical inventory you have available to rent out.
Yeah, but like if I have 20 available,
We'll just apply them.
Then we would have 20 lines here. I would have to go PT. So now I have 3.
yeah, but assuming I don't have serial numbers.
If you don't track serial numbers, then we are not setting anything up on this page.
Oh, okay.
Or
Okay.
if you want to use this daily, weekly, monthly, and you like some of these other options here, you could just number them 1 through 20.
Okay. But like for cables, is there another place where I can
Right there.
enter my inventory that doesn't have serial numbers?
If you don't want to track serial numbers or don't want to track the quantity through our software, when you create the items in QuickBooks, make them a inventoried item,
Yeah.
and you can put in your quantity on hand through QuickBooks.
And when I rent them out, it will keep track of how many I've got left?
QuickBooks will, but it doesn't do the best job. The simplest way that I'd recommend is just number them 1 through 20 if you have 20
Yeah,
of them.
but I have like 500 cables. For instance, I need to know like how many cables I've got. And
Then
if I have enough to rent out.
The only way to do that then is by setting them up on this page. And we can help you by populating 500 on this list and just numbering them for you.
Okay.
We can do it in one bulk operation.
Okay.
But right now, what all I'm doing on this page is picking the item I want to use to track the rental, either giving it a unique serial number or just numbering them, and then I'm putting in my charges, and that's it. There's a spot for who it's rented to, but we do not enter any of this on this page. This page gets filled in when you actually rent something out.
Okay.
Okay.
So the first item, description, serial number, and your charges. Once you've set up your inventory, we can go ahead and close this page. And now to enter a new rental transaction, anytime we need to create a new rental or a customer calls in to rent something out, we need to go to rental info, enter a new rental. This is our rental transaction screen. This is going to basically be treated as an invoice, if you will. This is going to be used to managing the billing, any service charges, delivery, pickup fees, anything you need to charge monthly to this customer for this rental we can put on this transaction. And in my head, how I learned this program when I first started is I thought of this almost like a customer account, that I can put line items on here for billing. If I need to put multiple toilets, I can put them on here. If a customer calls back and needs to rent something else out, I could open up their existing rental transaction and just add to it or return items from it. So the first thing we have to do is pick a customer. Once we pick a customer, all their information is loaded for me. I have an option to track the location, maybe of where this unit needs to be placed. Maybe, for instance, this needs to be placed next to the foreman's trailer. This needs to be placed in the parking lot next to, any kind of physical description of where this needs to be placed. I then can go ahead and pick an item. So here's where I'm going to pick the item I need to rent out. It automatically fills everything in for me, puts in the location of where this needs to be placed or delivered or dropped off. When I go to select a serial number, this tells me right here I have 3 available units to rent out.
So if one was already rented out, it would not show up on there?
Correct, and we'll see that here. I'll create another rental transaction in a moment, and we'll pick a serial number on this one, and then when we go to do another one, should see 2 serial numbers left in that list.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick a serial number. Now if I pick one with a price from that rental inventory list, it puts in the price for me. And this would be the monthly rate it's going off of. Depending on how you do your billing is what we need to set the billing increment for. So if we bill monthly, we set it to monthly. If you're going to be running your billing every week, you would select weekly. If you run billing every day, you select daily. Now, the way our software manages the billing is off a variation of a couple different dates, and then when we actually go in to physically run a billing batch, you'll have a cutoff date. This will make sense in a moment, but let's just go along with the example here. Let's say this needs to be delivered today, so we can control the delivery date. The build through date is the main date used to control the billing. When a unit, or when you run batched billing, a unit will be billed from its prior build through date to the ending date of your billing cycle, whether that be at the end of the week, the end of that day, or the end of the month. If you're doing portable toilets, most of the other companies in this industry that we work with bill on a 28-day cycle, either in advance or in the rear. We can accommodate calendar month billing. You could have customers that you maybe bill for a full 30-day billing cycle, and some you do a 28-day. How we accommodate for those is by using a billing group. For anyone that needs special billing that are that doesn't fit into your normal group of how everyone else gets billed, for your customers, we could create a billing group and run their billing separately from everybody else. To create these billing groups, it's as simple as just double-clicking in this field. So maybe I have customers that are billed monthly, 28-day. I may have some that are maybe a calendar month, which would be 30 or 31 days, depending on the number of days in the month.
So when you type them in there, the computer automatically knows that it's a calendar month, or you got to set something up?
Excellent question, and no, this is just basically giving us a grouping to separate out the transactions.
Okay.
When we go in to run a billing batch from the billing screen, it's going to ask you for a ending date of the billing cycle and then how many days are in that cycle. So that allows you to, just to make numbers easy, if someone rented something out on April 1st and you run your normal billing is every 28 days, when you go to run your batched billing on the 28th, it'll bill that unit from the 1st to the 28th. That should be a full month. So in this case, it would generate an $80 invoice. And maybe for those customers that you run a calendar month, after you get the batched billing done for the 28-day customers, you just go back and run a batch for your calendar month. You put in the ending date instead of the 28th, you put the 30th of April, and then there are 30 days in that billing cycle, and then you generate a billing batch.
Okay. Now I have a couple of customers that get billed 3 months in advance. Would we have to run separate, or is that a setting for that customer that it would just, when that date would come up, it would just bill them at that appropriate time?
You would have to do a separate billing group, and the way our software runs billing is nothing is billed automatically.
Okay.
How I recommend it is to get into the habit of trying to fit most of your customers into a 28-day billing group. One, because it's the most advantageous for you, because you get that 13th billing cycle at the end of the year.
Correct.
And was a couple years ago kind of frowned upon, and now it's almost becoming industry standard across all the service industries.
Okay.
That
well,
way.
I only have a couple of those, so I think I'll remember who they are.
Yep, and this billing group allows you, we'll see this in a moment, you can filter your items rented and find everybody by a billing group, so you always be able to look up those customers. And the way our software works, we have the task system. So if you've watched our beginner videos and kind of know how to use tasks, you could simply create yourself a task that reminds you that'll pop up and reoccur every 28 days to run billing. And then you could have a task assigned to those couple customers that reoccurs every 3 months that reminds you to run a 3-month billing.
Right. Now my next question is, when we're transferring from our other program, the only date we're really going to have to worry about is the build through date off the other so we continue on our schedule. Really?
First person in a year and a half to ever make that connection. No, that is exactly true. The build through date in our software that you see highlighted here, when you're entering in your existing rentals, you just set that to be what they're currently paid up through your other software.
Right, and then it would continue on from that date.
Forward. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I have a question also. Say I have a client picking up on the Friday, and they're bringing back the equipment on the following Monday because we're closed on the weekend, but yet they only need it for the one day. How do I, like, in order to charge them only one day, is that what I would put in my bill through billing? The one day? But
No,
then up above I would show the start date and the end date?
you have a date returned right here. So
Yeah.
this could technically be delivered on today's date, and then it could be returned Friday, meaning you're only billing them for Thursday to Friday, but then you have a pickup date that could be Monday.
Okay, but it would charge only the one day?
It will, correct. If you do a billing and someone returns something, it'll only bill them from their billed through date to the
Okay.
returned.
Okay.
Now, if you notice here, by default, our rentals are prorated.
Okay.
And our software will automatically prorate based on, where it is in the middle of your billing cycle. If someone calls in, and let's say, just using the example that you ran your last billing the end of March, so your next billing cycle is April 1st through April 28th. If you rent out something like this example in the middle of that billing cycle on the 11th, when we go to run a billing batch on the 28th, it's only going to generate a charge from the 11th to the 28th and prorate that $80 accordingly. Now, there are a couple ways to do this. I strongly recommend that you allow it to prorate in advance and in the rear. So basically, you can prorate on the rental when it's delivered and prorate on the return. If you want to basically charge a full month in advance on the first month, basically bill them for a full month, all we have to do is adjust the build through date accordingly. This maybe was delivered on the 11th, but we want to charge them a full month on their first billing, so we just set the build through to mimic what a full month will be. That way this unit gets billed a full month on their first rental. When it gets returned, you could then allow it to prorate on the return side. If they return it halfway through a billing cycle, it'll give them a lesser charge. Now I can control the rental start date. Maybe I don't know the end date yet. Or if I do know the end date, I could go ahead and put that in.
Now, when you do the end date, will it tell us, say, hey, you got to pick that toilet up by this date?
What it does is it'll put it on a pending pickup list on that date. What I recommend is using the tasks, especially when doing the rentals, we heavily tie into the task side of the software to set your reminders.
Okay.
And
Just
right
go
now I'm going
create
to click.
task from that?
Oh yeah, and that's where I'm going to go right now. If you look here at the very top of the screen, I have a couple options. I could create a delivery task. I could create a pickup task. I could create a follow-up task. So what I can do is I need to get this delivered today, so I'm going to go ahead and create a delivery task. It It automatically opens up the task for me. I then could assign it to one of my drivers. It puts in rental delivery, puts the description, what we're delivering, and the serial number, and then the quantity. I could now go to rentals and hit Get Rentals. We then can select which rental maybe we're delivering for this task. This gets tracked in the history for this customer of the delivery and the pickup. So it's important to go into the rentals and make sure you are selecting it on this task. Your due date is the delivery date. That is going to automatically be set for you based on the delivery date of the rental transaction on the screen we were prior. If you have a specific time that this needs to be delivered, we can use a start time and end time. Otherwise, just let it default to whatever shows up there if you're not worried about a specific time. If you need specific notes for the driver, you can put in task-specific notes. And now we can go ahead and hit Close to create our delivery task. If I go back to my task list, let me get this other task out of here. Here we see our rental delivery, and it's yellow because it's due today. Now I can go ahead and hit Close on this. What that has actually done is now created that rental. So now I can go to Items Rented. Let me get rid of this other transaction in here that I was playing around with earlier. I don't want to get anyone confused here. So right now, what we have created, we have the one line here letting us know that this customer has something rented. Here's the serial number. Here's the monthly charge. So everything that's rented out is going to be a line on this page. Here's how you'd be able to filter and say, I want to see everyone who we're supposed to bill on a calendar month basis. And it would filter this page accordingly. Anytime you filter and sort based on these drop downs at the top of the page, and you want to get back the default view, just hit Reset. If I want to get back into this transaction, just double click on the invoice number. Now, if you're Tom and Sharon, I know probably do you do weekly servicing of the portable toilets or biweekly?
Correct. We actually have weekly, biweekly, and 3 times a week.
Okay. What we would need to do is set up on our route schedule. Let me get rid of yesterday's training data here. I could double click in frequency, and let's set up a couple service frequencies. So you have maybe a weekly, which could be once every 7 days, biweekly, once every 14 or every other week. What was that last one?
3 times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay. Our 3 times a week would actually put that unit on the route schedule 3 times, a weekly for Monday, weekly for Wednesday, weekly for Friday.
Okay, that's, yeah.
Now what I can do is right from the rental transaction, just reopen this, on the top right you have an option to put it right on the route schedule for servicing. So I could put it on maybe Route 1. This one's going to be serviced every other week, and its first service date is going to be maybe this coming Monday. Put on the route. So now if we go back to our route schedule, we have a biweekly service set up.
Okay. And then when we're on that screen, when I'm transferring my information, we want to make sure that we have like the build through date and then go up to that corner and put it on the day it's supposed to be on.
Yeah, put in the next service date for that customer.
The next, okay.
And if I wanted this, if this was a bi-weekly service that needs to be every other Monday, I'm just picking the 15th here because it's a Monday, and now that'll reoccur. The way our routing software works, I won't go into too much more detail. We do have a full hour routing and mapping where this is all we talk about. It'll roll itself. So when you're done with the week of the 15th, this date will get reset up, 2 weeks after.
Okay.
Now, let's see. Let me gather myself here. Where are we going with this? Okay. So now we have basically two parts that we're managing. We're managing our items rented, or really we're managing three. We're managing the rented items, the tasks, and the route schedule. What we want to try to do is get that down to just two things we really need to look at, and that's our route schedule and our items rented. Now, I did say before that our tasks are a big part of the rental software. We have a very, very nice feature that allows you all these different deliveries and pickups. Go to the task list for tracking because this is right in front of you every time you get into the program. But so you don't miss a delivery, we can actually take these tasks and add them, like for a delivery, onto that same route schedule for delivery. And it just depends how you do business. I don't know if you have a separate driver that just does deliveries and pickups or if it's the same one going and doing the servicing.
Yeah, it's kind of mixed.
If it's mixed, just depending on the workload, we have the option in the software that if I hit route schedule, you'll see this button pop up. Would you like to put open tasks on the schedule? I'm going to click yes. So now it's added to my same route driver a rental delivery. And it's put in its date and filled out all the information correctly. Now the nice thing is we didn't create a frequency called task. It did it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Tasks are, when you use it that way, are non-reoccurring one-time stops. They're set to automatically delete when that schedule advances. So you only see it on there that one day, and then the next day comes when you roll your schedule forward, it's gone. The delivery will be marked as complete.
Right, and then the pickups would be the same.
Exactly.
Okay.
You would see from task, rental pickup, if you had any pickups on that task list when we hit. Not to get scared, every time you press route schedule, you'll see that pop up. Even if you hit yes again, it doesn't duplicate that same pickup or that same delivery that's already on there. It will only put any new ones since you've done it the previous time.
Okay. My next question is I notice you don't save anything. Is it when you close it, is it saving it, or just when you go to another screen, it's saving that information?
How database applications work, and this is kind of particular to Access, is that everything is saved as you key in the data. So when I go from one field to the next field, it saves the data in the field prior, and then when I move forward, it saves. But yes, when closing the page, that is, everything you've entered on that page is then saved again. And you will never see a save button in our software, so closing the window is as good as saving.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering how you were keeping that information without hitting something.
Yep, understood.
Well, one problem that I see with that, though, is assuming I do a special price to a client and then for some reason I change it because I think it's wrong, but it wasn't wrong, so I don't want to save it because I go, well, hell, what was the amount I had on there before? I have no way of going back.
Yeah. If I, right here, if I change
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
to 75, I'm like, crap. maybe I'm on the phone with the customer and I'm not looking at it for 10 minutes and I come back and, well, what was that other price? You can do Control-Z, the hotkey, for undo, and it steps it back one.
Oh, okay. So you do have an undo.
Yep. And that is,
Oh, good.
press the Control key and then the letter Z on the keyboard. That'll
Okay.
step back, and you can press that multiple times if you made a couple different changes.
Okay, good.
So now this, let's look at our route schedule. We are done with the delivery here, so basically the 11th is over with, so I can advance my route or post my route, and I can do it beginning and ending date as just today's date, and that's only going to mark today's stops as complete. Anything that was done today is now advanced based on its frequency. You can, instead of having to do this every day, you could do it for the week. You could just do every Monday through Friday. At the end of every Friday, you're doing this, and just put in the date range of the week you just finished, and then roll the route schedule forward. I could hit post route, yes, okay. And the 11th, that delivery is gone.
Okay.
Completed it, it's done. Let's say this customer calls in and needs to rent out an additional unit. Well, I can just go to items rented, double click on the invoice number to pull up their transaction, go right to PT and add another unit. And here is where it lets us know that now we only have 2 available in stock. Now the nice thing is this serial number didn't have a price tied to it. I left it $0. This allows me to adjust it on the fly. So even if a price pops up here, you can make a one-time change. It doesn't change it for that serial number all the time. It doesn't change anything in QuickBooks. You're just able to set pricing on the fly in our software. It's a real nice feature. So maybe this one, since he already has something rented, we're just going to give him a little break.
Can you give a discount with a percentage on the whole rental? Or do you have to do every line individually?
If I wanted to do a discount on the whole rental, I would have to do that in QuickBooks. Our software doesn't like the QuickBooks line items that allow percentage discounts. They just do not very compatible with our program. But you could invoice this, and then when it's in QuickBooks, apply that.
Yeah, but if I want to send a quote to my client first.
You will have to, if you do it percentage-based, you'll have to do that manual calculation and just set the pricing in here.
Okay. But this is like you're doing a rental transaction, but is there a place where I can send an estimate or a quote
If
first?
I do the transaction, I can go right up here, select a quote.
Oh, okay. Okay. Guys, I didn't see that. Fine.
Yeah, we have anything you quickly need to print. If you need to just quickly print a delivery ticket without creating a task, you can simply do that.
Okay. And the quote, will it show my total amount of the rental?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I wanted to add, give them, say, a 25% discount on there, could I do it on the subtotal? Can I just change the subtotal, or do?
What I would do is I would take a line item and call it discount. I would make it a service item, though. I don't know if I have a discount. Or
But I could create one.
yeah, just say this item right here is called discount that I'm picking.
Mm-hmm.
I could call it, let's say it's a 10%. Now,
But it shows the subtotal when you're printing, but it doesn't show it before that, does it?
if you scroll down, it's here.
Oh, okay, there you go.
You
Okay.
cannot change these amounts. They're auto-populated from the line items.
Okay.
So here's
if I
how you would do it. This total is 155. 10% discount would be $15 off, so my price is negative 15.00.
And it will put it, okay, that's great, that's fine.
Now when I go to print my quote, it's going to show 10% discount on rental, 15 in the negative, 139.93 or 139.03.
That's good, okay.
Now that just brings up a good point of anything you need to charge for. If you charge a pickup fee or a delivery fee, so I could have a delivery service fee. I want that only to run once. What that tells the program is when you run your first billing, it's going to be included, and then it puts in the date that it was included on the billing. Then any further billings, this item is excluded. It does not get pulled into that batch. So your delivery and pickup could be a one-time charge. If you need to charge them or you charge them a certain amount for weekly service, I could have a weekly service here.
And I could, if I wanted to charge labor, because what we have sometimes we charge for installation or a technician or whatever, I would create one of those in the inventory service.
Yeah, if there's a installation charge,
Yeah.
labor.
Yeah. Okay, so I could just create that and okay.
Yeah.
And if it's $50 an hour, then in the quantity I would put whatever, 12 hours,
4 hours.
4 hours. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good.
And if that's a one-time charge, you select run once.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I need a weekly service charge to always be maybe $10 a week for service, I don't want it prorated. I want it just kind of a flat $10. I don't prorate. I don't run once, and I just set that price to $10. So now let's run through a billing example here. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go to items rented, and since we've added a lot to that transaction, this is what happens. If you notice, the invoice number is the same for all these lines. That lets us know that this is all one invoice, but it does list out everything on this screen for you. It's right away. You don't have to go open up this transaction to see anything in it. It's just all right here in front of you for a quick view. We know they've got 2 toilets. Here are their serial numbers. We've got their installation charge, their weekly service. Everything's on here. I just wanted to show you this so your first time you see this, it may look like it duplicated itself, but you added the second line item. As long as the invoice numbers are the same, it's the same invoice. So let's run through, let's see what happens if we run a billing batch for this one item, or this couple items here. To run billing, I go to Rental Info, Billing, and then Run Billing. First thing I have to do, enter the end date for the billing batch. So using our example, let's say the ending date of the billing is the 28th. If you run weekly billing and you last billed someone on, let's say, last Friday, and you run your billing every week, you could then select your billing date as the 12th here. If you run your billing every day, you would just leave that today's current date. You generate a billing batch. Here's where I can now select the billing group I want to use, or if I leave it blank, it'll do it for all billing groups. The number of days in the billing cycle, so if you run a weekly billing, this would be 7. If you run a calendar month, this will be 30 or 31, depending on the number of days in that month. If you run a daily billing, this will be the number of days since your last billing.
Okay, I got a question. I got my 28-day ones in there, and then I got my 3 months. If I left that blank, would it bill them when that 3 month came up?
Nope, this has to be set every time you go run a billing batch.
Okay.
So when you run your 30-day in advances, this will be 90 days here.
Okay.
Or excuse me, your 3-month advance. This will be a 90-day billing cycle that you'll generate for. And let's say they were last billed on the 1st. Your ending date, you're going to go 3 months like that, and then days in the billing cycle is 90 days. That's how you would do a billing in advance.
Okay.
And then it'll ask you to make the default for future use. You could hit yes there and it just say for your next time, but you can always go in and change it. Do I want to show that location in the description? I could turn that on. Do I want to show the serial number in the description? Yes. Combine customer invoices. This option allows us that if we have invoices for the same customer, it will combine them to one invoice go into QuickBooks. I would most of the time leave this as yes, unless you need or have a specific need for, let's say you have John Smith and you need 2 split invoices for different transactions, maybe at different locations, then just set this option to no. Now we're going to generate a pre-billing. Real quick and easy. I only have one thing rented out here, so it didn't take too long. Now I can go to View Pre-Billing.
Does that show the taxes?
The taxes will be calculated once it gets into QuickBooks,
Okay.
depending on whether or not the customer is marked as taxable and then whether or not that item's on their
Okay.
invoice.
But if I send a quote from this, it's just strictly the equipment without tax.
It does have the tax on the quote. And that, when you print anything out of our software, like a quote or an invoice for a rental transaction, it uses the taxing information how it's set up in QuickBooks.
Okay.
So as long as you have it set up correctly, you're going to be...
Okay. Okay.
Now what this did is this was marked as billed through the 1st, so it's running the billing from the 2nd to the 28th. I told it to prorate. So it's not a full month, just a little less. If we ran our billing on the 31st, for instance, this would have picked up the billing from the 1st to the 28th and generated a full month. This one here was delivered on the 12th, and I had my rate of 75, but it prorated it accordingly from the 12th to the 28th. Now they're caught up on our billing cycle with the rest of our customers, so every month thereafter they're a full month charge until they return it. Here's our one-time charge of $15 for the delivery fee. Weekly service charge, and then our installation charge. I can then set the date I want on my QuickBooks invoice. So if I want that to be the 28th, and then I would simply hit Post to QuickBooks.
So when I post to QuickBooks, everything should be completed, right?
Yep, and if you look here,
And it should be returned and everything.
no ma'am. You have to return units separately. This is a rental billing, meaning when you run a billing batch, it's assuming that if you don't mark it as returned, then it's going to be staying out on rent. Your specific example, you may be doing billing a little differently in our software. When a customer returns something, we then can invoice it now and then walk through this process, which I'll show you in just a minute. I do want to show people that side, how you invoice when you return an item.
Okay.
This right here is basically allowing us to bill for continually rented items that are out for more than one billing. If I just quickly look in QuickBooks, go to customers, let's find this guy, Should be a 428 invoice in here. Here it is. Exactly like it was on the transaction. We've got our nice dates, serial numbers, location if you choose it. It then calculated my tax based on my one taxable item. We go back to
So
item.
my invoice in QuickBooks has to be set up in a certain way, right?
No, you can have this set up however you like it in QuickBooks.
Yeah, but how is the system going to know where to put the information? Because I've got some invoices that I kind of created myself that are not exactly like labor hours, item code, price, service, the blah, blah, blah. I guess it has to be that way, doesn't it?
However it's set up in the service program, when we look at that rental transaction, it's how it will appear on the QuickBooks invoice. This will be line 1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
that's what I mean. They have to be compatible. They have to be exactly the same.
They always will be because these items come straight from QuickBooks.
Okay.
So I can have my invoice layout however it needs to be. It's a seamless integration as long as, those are the same, the items. Just I have on this version of QuickBooks, I have my description column on the far left instead of the item name. But it
Okay.
still picks it up correctly.
Okay.
Now let's say, if you look here, everything, since it's now been billed, is now billed through the 28th. Meaning, if we run another billing batch, our software will pick it up from the 29th going forward till the next ending date of your billing. Let's say something's returned. And this, Michelle, maybe is how you'll use the software, is when they do return the unit,
Mm-hmm.
you go to date returned. So let's say they returned it one day, let's say it was rented out, just using your example earlier, on the 11th, and they return it on the 12th. It's going to ask you, do you want to invoice this now? Hit yes. Now all you have to do is go to rental info, billing, view pending transactions. Anything marked as returned automatically goes to the batch screen, ready for either when you run the rest of your monthly rentals, this is already sitting here, so it'll be invoiced along with it. Or if you mark an item returned, you can go right to this screen. If you see here, it's charging it $2.86 because it was only out for one day, the 11th to the 12th. And now I can hit Post to QuickBooks. That item is returned, so it's back in my inventory and available to rent out.
Okay, but does the system do I get a report from, say I have a rental with 50 items, they return the rental, there's a couple of things missing. Does it keep track of the missing items?
What do you mean by missing?
Well, I don't know. Say I'm renting speakers and, I don't know, 25 cables.
Mm-hmm.
2 cables are missing.
Yeah, this right here, we had 2 portable toilets, or 2 cables, if you will. We only had 1 returned,
Yeah.
so it's only going to bill for that 1.
Well, I want to bill everything, but I want some kind of a report that will say, hey, there's 2 cables missing here. You know what I mean? Or no?
Well, if you have cables and you are keeping track of them, you'll have 25 lines here.
Yeah.
And when you are returning those cables, if you count 23, you're missing something. You could track individual return dates. That way you know that you still have 2 cables that are existing. This transaction will stay open. Everything else will be billed.
Okay, so it will stay open, and I can just.
Correct. Like when this gets, when we post a returned item to QuickBooks, I'm going to close my transaction. If I go back into items rented, now they have 4 things here instead of 5. We only have 1 piece of equipment rented. still existing. I mean, it hasn't been marked as returned yet, so you'll still have this screen here saying, hey, there's something still pending for this person.
Okay.
We can always go to rental, billing, view historical transactions, and see everything we've billed for.
Okay.
Where we're headed with this, use barcode. This allows us.
I thought we couldn't barcode with your system.
This is brand new to the software. This is the first time I have seen this screen. I just got this version this morning.
Okay, because that's what we wanted, was to be able to barcode, and I was told that you couldn't.
Well, it's your lucky
Wow.
day. Now we can. I can give you some more information. I think I have an email address or email from you with some questions that I need to get
Yeah.
back. So I'll include
Yeah, great.
information here. This allows you to barcode your items, and if I need to rent out 25 cables, in your case, Michelle, I would just scan each barcode one by one. They're going to add it to this list behind this pop-up window for you. When I mark stuff as returned, I just scan in the barcodes again, hit return a rental. If I had 25 rented, I only scanned 23. The date returned for those two items are going to be blank.
So I can use that barcoding for anything, actually, even the serialized items, right?
Correct.
Oh, great.
And then when you are in your rental inventory list, remember we were setting up the serial numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Hit the button in the top right that says View Barcode. It'll serialize whatever your serial number is, it turns it into the barcode field.
Yeah. My concern is the non-serialized items. I'm not sure I understand too well what you said you could do for us, because I have, like I see, I could have 500 cables of one kind, and I don't know. A lot of our items are not serialized. A lot are, but a lot aren't. And those are the ones, like, I need to know the quantities and how many I will have left once I do a rental.
What I would do is, let's say this PT was a type of cable.
You what?
Let's say this item PT was a type of cable.
Yeah.
What I could do is just create in this list 500 down the page, and then in the serial number I would number them maybe cable-1, cable-2, cable-3, and I would do that.
But you would do that?
I could do that for you, yes. We would just have to set up an appointment so I could connect to your computer and populate it for you.
Wow. Okay. Okay, it's a big job, though.
It's literally, if you set up one for me and you say you need 500 just like that, but make the serial number just go in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however it is, it'll 5 minutes, 6 minutes maybe.
Okay.
Real easy.
Okay.
Tom, Sharon, you guys have
Yes.
a couple questions or anything I could answer real quick? I'm running over the time a little bit, but I want to make sure you guys have a chance to ask a couple questions if you have any.
I think I got it pretty good. I just got a lot of homework to do.
Excellent. Now
Do
this.
they, now this class, did you record these videos?
Oh yeah.
Okay, can you
Here-
send them to us, or?
Here's what you do. Inside the program,
Okay,
go to miscellaneous info, view training videos.
okay,
You have to give me maybe 24 hours or so. I'll try to do it today for you. But this will open up our training video page, and under training class recordings, the most recent video, like this is the one from the other day, the 9th, the most recent videos will always be at the top under training class recordings.
okay.
So here's
Yeah,
one.
I just got to get all my stuff set up because I'd like to get all the information in, and then, like I said, we're just learning.
Right here, there's a rentals and billing class from February 18th. This one has to be, I say that, it has to be one of my favorite classes recently, just because I had a similar situation where I only had one guy in the rental industry. He did large-scale equipment rental. The examples are really specific for him, but it does kind of start with the same how absolutely nothing in QuickBooks is how he was. He's helped me. So we
Okay.
start with QuickBooks, fresh QuickBooks, how to set it all up, bring it into the service program, set up the physical inventory, and that class in particular has a lot of billing examples that we run through in it. So I believe that one in today's class you should have enough to really be dangerous and get moving with the program.
Oh, yeah.
And I do offer this, Tom and Sharon and Michelle, to all of our rental clients. Once you kind of get your feet wet and have an understanding of how this is going to work, I will offer you guys a 1 hour with me, private one-on-one, to run through some examples or some hang-ups if you're having trouble with it. Just because every company does the rentals so uniquely, and I just want to make sure that you're on the right track and you don't take a bit of information that's the wrong way and run with it and end up.
Yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming right now because thing is, I'm not sure I know what the system can do and what it can't do and how it works. It's like almost like an overview that I like. For example, I'm thinking about the if I'm purchasing some rental equipment, do I do it from QuickBooks or from the service program? And if I do it from QuickBooks, how do I get it in the service program? It's like, oof.
Now, the way our software works just in general with QuickBooks is we're more of a piggyback. So a lot of the stuff you're used to doing in QuickBooks, you're going to continue to do in QuickBooks. Your purchase orders for your own equipment or your own inventory, all that still, in any of the AR process, all remains in QuickBooks. So when you receive payments, that stays in QuickBooks.
Okay, but if I purchase some equipment in QuickBooks, do I just update the system program with the inventory, or
Correct.
does it automatically go in there?
Nope. Anytime you need to bring over new information from QuickBooks, you have to hit that Update QuickBooks button.
Okay.
If you add new customers, you can hit Update Only Customers, or if you add new inventory, you can hit Update Only Inventory, and that'll then make it available in the service program.
But what if I create a new customer in the service program,
There are
but it's not in QuickBooks?
There are a couple different ways to do it. The main way is if you're doing the rental transaction.
Yeah.
And let's say I have an existing customer, but this is a new job site. I could select him as a parent. I could type in the new job site address, and it's going to tell me it's not a valid customer. Select yes to add the new customer to QuickBooks. To do that, I have to have QuickBooks open and running, and it'll actually add the customer in both places at the same time.
And if it's a new customer, same thing?
Yeah, it'll add it. This is for the new customer. If I hit no here, let me just back out.
What's the difference between parent and customer?
In the rental industry, QuickBooks has a great way of handling customers that maybe rent something out to different addresses almost every time.
Uh-huh.
Like construction companies with different job sites. If you see here, this is one of my customers, Dr. John Abbott. He has 2 different locations that we have rentals at. See how they're indented?
Uh-huh.
Those are what you can create in QuickBooks called a job. So if I highlight him as a customer and go to Add Job, it allows me to create a different service address or a different location where he's going to have rentals. But all the billing is still going to that, what we call a customer parent.
Okay, I understand. Like we have companies we deal with that like we do productions for them, but in different buildings, for instance.
Exactly. This is a great way to manage it. This could be the production company, and then this could be Building 1 or Studio 3 or something like that. Or
so in the service program, I would go and in the parent
you would
and select that.
Yep, you would select, hold on, I hit the wrong button.
Select Abbott.
And then when I go to select the customer, I would see.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Or that's where I could type in
Okay.
the new location, hit yes, and now it pops up and allows me a screen where I could put in that all their information.
Okay.
It adds that new customer right away on the fly, and in QuickBooks, there it is.
So if I'm entering a brand new customer in the service program, it will ask me if I want to put it in QuickBooks.
Exactly. Yep. If this is a customer that you've never, ever
That's right.
seen before, let me just close this. You just go right to customer because it doesn't have an existing parent. You just start typing the customer's name.
Okay.
Again, same pop-up. Hit yes,
Yeah. Okay.
fill out your information.
Oh.
That way you're kind of limited to staying in the service program, and you only go into QuickBooks when you need to receive a payment, go through any of the type of accounts receivable procedures.
Okay.
right,
Yeah. If someone was to come in to put a deposit on a job, for instance, and I haven't posted it to QuickBooks yet, I suppose I could just receive the payments in QuickBooks and then apply it to that invoice once I invoice it?
Yeah, you can receive a payment just to the customer and not tie it to an invoice. It would then be applied to that customer as a credit.
Yeah.
That when you send an invoice over, that then directly affects its balance. Or you
Yeah.
can just go to that payment and say, okay, now apply it to that invoice.
Yeah. Okay.
Or the
Gotcha.
other way to, last bit here, if I have a rental transaction, if I'm entering it out, whatever it is, I can hit post to QuickBooks, just right on the top of the page to get me a quick invoice in QuickBooks that I could receive a payment on.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
All right. I thank you, both of you, three of you, for coming to today's training class. This is a great rental class. I appreciate all the feedback and the questions. This is going to be a good one to put online for the rest of our users. I will do this right now. I'm going to go ahead and start getting it on our website for you. So in a couple hours, just go to miscellaneous info, view training videos. It'll take you to our online help website where you can go to all our training classes, look at all the past dates. We also have how-to sections. Basic section on rental of how to create the rental items. There's a walkthrough in
I
here.
missed that.
How to go into the rental inventory list and set up the serial numbers and the prices, as well as how to go in and enter a new rental transaction. And I've labeled every field on that screen and put a nice description of what it's all for, and then how to run the batch billing.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think that it's starting to be a little clearer.
Great. Great.
You'll be answering my questions, I assume, Michael?
Yep, that's I have on my calendar at 3:30. I made a note to answer Michelle's email. It was a long one. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Because then I have to train my staff to get to use it too. So, can
Yep.
they watch the training videos as well?
Of
Or
course.
does it have to be me?
Nope. You can appoint your staff, sit them down, and say, go to the website and start watching videos.
Yeah. Okay.
All righty. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank you.
much.
No problem. Bye.